Oh my God, 8K in a Sony camera. Guys, are we missing something here? We didn't expect this. No one actually expected it, guys. Let's be realistic. Oof. That is clearly absurd. Having an umbrella within a room setting, but you can't blame me, it's not my fault. I got some chills after I heard this very juicy news. You know what? Sony has introduced another brand new camera, which they call the Sony Alpha 1. Now, is this camera an answer to the R5 or R6? Now, stick through to the end of the video because we are going to be reacting to the very first video that was released by Sony on their official website. I'm going to be reacting to that video and we are going to be looking at every little bit of information that we have at hand or that has been shared with us in this particular video. Of course, it's still the corona season, the pandemic is still around, so this is the only way by which we can get to know exactly what companies are about or what products are about. And before I do that, you know the tradition here on this channel, some coconut water. Let's get started, guys.
Alpha.
The one. What? Right off the bat, guys. So this camera is going to be a 50 megapixel camera and it's going to be doing 30 frames per second in 10 bits 422. Although we haven't gotten there already, I had this information before coming to watch this video. Straight away, this is real, guys. It is real. 50 megapixels in such a camera. Guys, we are talking about a mirrorless camera here, guys. Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. And it's going to be doing 120 frames per second. And in all of these modes, we are going to be having AF or autofocus enabled for all of these modes without compromising any quality and without you having to sacrifice any mode for autofocus. Now, if you're very familiar with most cameras, you know that autofocus doesn't work for all the other modes. But in this case, Sony is telling us that we are going to be having autofocus in every single frame rate or in every single mode that you select on this camera, including 8K. Guys, amazing, mind-blowing. And it is going to be a camera that has no blackout. You can actually set it not to blackout. Now, if you're a beginner or if you don't really know what this blackout is all about, anytime you click the shutter button, because of the shutter reaction that is happening, the shutter clicking, closing or passing in front of the lens, then you have a moment of blackness or you have the camera going blank for just a nanosecond, or let me say just within a second before the image transmission is restored. But with this, you can actually have a setting to completely turn it off and you can have a continuous transmission of the images even when you press the shutter button without having the whole place going blank. Guys, this is truly amazing. Amazing speed. Straight away, this function alone tells me that this camera is jam-packed with speed. Speed is one of the things that this camera is really going to be a master of. Wow. It's going to have a 240 frame rate refresh rate within the viewfinder. Guys, this is amazing. Oh my God, 8K in a Sony camera. Guys, are we missing something here? Are we truly missing something here, guys? Is this Sony's answer to the R5 or R6, guys? Is Sony kind of matching Canon boot for boot? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, because 8K in a Sony camera seems strange to me, especially in a Sony mirrorless camera, guys. Guys, I'm blown away. I'm speechless. 8K in a Sony camera. I actually thought this was a rumor until I'm seeing this in this particular video. I actually read the information somewhere, but I was actually waiting to actually see this to actually confirm that it is true. And Bob's your uncle is true. I mean, kudos to these engineers. They are really pushing the envelope of technology, guys. And these are the images that have been taken by the camera already. Really stunning images. And for the first time, we have, a clear view of the camera, and I can tell it looks very similar to the already existing Sony cameras that we have out there in the market. And as you can see, they are telling us that it's a full frame stacked with 50.1 megapixel eximo sensor and with integral memory. I think in terms of the build quality, some of us already know the track record of Sony, and obviously I know they are not going to disappoint when it comes to this part in terms of the quality of the sensor and all that. And of course, I've already spoken about the speed. They are telling us that it's going to have an unprecedented resolution and speed. And of course, we know Sony's track record with eximo sensors and Bion's XR. Aside the 50 megapixels, we are going to be having 15 stops of dynamic range. How cool is that, guys? I mean, I'm speechless. I'm speechless. This is truly amazing. Really amazing. And so because of the higher megapixels, you can actually zoom into the image without losing quality that much. And you also have this best mode that you can take this incredible amount of pictures within few seconds, guys. Within few seconds. This is amazing. And this is the blackout free thing we were talking about earlier. So as you can see, let me take it back. So as you can see in the video on your left hand side, this particular one, you realize that this is a camera with blackout and this is a camera without blackout. And just look at the difference. You realize that this keeps flickering. It keeps going on and off because of the shutter effect that is happening. It keeps blocking the image. But with this, it's seamless. This is the new camera's view. It's seamless, guys. So this doesn't actually have the blockage or the continuous flickering that happens within the image. Guys, straight away, Sony is displaying their muzzle when it comes to speed and what they've actually discovered with this particular new processor that they have in this particular camera. Amazing. Improved display response for panning shots with electronic shutter. Guys, amazing. Of course, flash sync, this is not entirely new, but of course, this is going to be improved. And it has dual-driven shutter speed for flash sync up to 120 seconds. I know those of you who are photographers or those who do photography out there will be excited about these particular features. Amazing. And of course, for those of you who are wildlife shooters, this is also going to have a silent shutter. So what happens is that when you press the shutter button in this particular cases, you are not going to have the normal traditional sound, that crap sound that happens. So you can actually shoot images in a very silent mode. Of course, this is not also a very new feature because we are already used to it. If you are very familiar with all the 2020 cameras that already came out earlier before this year, 2021, most of the cameras already had this feature in stock. So this is not entirely new, but of course, again, it's going to be improved because you know that this camera, they've been working hard or they've actually worked hard. We didn't expect this. No one actually expected it, guys. Let's be realistic. When Sony said they were going to announce something, did you think it was a camera? Guys, be realistic. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you actually predicted that it was actually going to be a camera of this magnitude with this kind of features. Come on, guys. It's crazy. And again, they are telling us that this camera has improved anti-distortion shutter. And what this does is that when you look closely, as they zoom in, this image kind of has some distortions on it, and this doesn't have those distortions on it. This is a new camera's view, and this is from, a camera that doesn't have that kind of a feature. So you are rest assured that you are definitely going to have some improved form of anti-distortions happening, within the frame. And same thing that happens here. Again, I'm excited about this particular feature. flicker-free electronic and mechanical shutter. So what happens is that if you're very used to shooting cameras or pointing cameras to some form of tungsten or fluorescent light, you realize that depending on the shutter speed that you are capturing at, you begin to get this flickering that is happening. So what is happening is that this particular camera is going to be canceling out to the barest minimum or to the best of its ability, eliminate completely that kind of flickering that happens within the video when you are capturing in those kind of lightning situations. So as you can see the image here, that is just the usual one, and the image on the right, of course, is the improved one. And of course, again, autofocusing has actually been improved. And as you can see on the image, all these boxes, all these areas are autofocus areas. So virtually almost the whole screen is actually captured. So regardless of which side of the frame that you have your subject in, the camera is still going to be able to track your subject. Just look at the number of boxes that you have around here. Amazing, guys. And all of these areas are autofocus areas that can actually track your subject. It's crazy. Yeah. And this is where I am really so excited again, guys. They have real-time autofocusing system. Now, we all know this animal autofocusing system, and even Sony themselves introduced this kind of AI technology in their last camera releases. But I'm so excited for this particular one. It kind of looks much more improved, and they are saying this is actually kind of real-time. So I'm waiting for real-world tests. Of course, we all know that it is not everything that we are promised that we get. There are certain times or there are certain situations where we are promised certain things, or at least how it is on paper is not exactly how it's usually implemented. So let's wait and see how the actual implementation is done. I can't wait to see some practical reviews that are going to be posted about this camera or on this camera's performance, especially in terms of the autofocusing system. But of course, where we've got into, any camera at this point is going to be having almost flawless kind of autofocus, unless of course you are Panasonic. Don't mind me, guys. That was just a joke. Please, Panasonic users, don't roast me in the comment section. I do love Panasonic. I'm actually shooting on a Panasonic camera right now. I'm actually shooting on the Panasonic G7. So I do love Panasonic. But I just feel like in the autofocusing world right now, Sony and Canon are killing it, guys. They're way, way, way ahead of the competition when it comes to autofocus. And it is just my wish that just as the world have woken up today to see, this real-time tracking or face tracking system that has also been introduced again by Sony, we wake up one morning or we wake up another fateful day and Panasonic has released something with a flawless autofocus, guys. I would gladly get that camera. I love Panasonic, but when it comes to autofocusing, they are not really there. So I don't know. Let's get back into the video. Yes. So of course, once you have this kind of real-time autofocusing happening, it's actually going to be helping you in wildlife and all those kind of stuff. And as I said, it's improved real-time eye autofocusing for animals, even for profiles or faces upside down. You realize that autofocusing becomes very tricky, especially if you're using a certain type and the subject begins to change its kind of characteristics or motion. For example, if you have, let's say, face autofocusing happening and the character turns his or her back to the camera, what then happens? Because the camera doesn't have a face to track. And what happens is that with this, it's continuously going to be switching between all the modes so that you can have a constant autofocus at that particular point or on the face of the person. So for example, if you were on, let's say, face detect and the person turns around, it can switch to, let's say, subject detect. And if you turn around again, probably when it locks on the eye, you can get, let's say, eye autofocusing. And probably if it knows that at this point it has a clear view of the face, you can now rather get, let's say, face autofocusing system. So this is actually improved, and we are going to be having this happening real time. Of course, we already know that we've already established in this video that this camera, it's going to have a lot of speed. Speed is where this camera thrives, and I'm sure it is going to be manifesting in a lot of features that we are going to be seeing. I mean, just what we're talking about, real-time eye autofocusing for humans. So it's actually very locked onto the humans. Just look at that. And guys, to our feature again, 8K. Do we need 8K, guys? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think the world needs 8K, or Sony, Canon, and all the other companies are just kind of setting up their ego or satisfying their ego and trying to get the bragging rights? Do you think the world needs 8K at this point, or do you think 8K is a future? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, because we can go on and on with this kind of debate, but let me know what you think, whether 8K is really necessary. But in this camera, of course, we are going to be getting 8K at 30 frames per second. And I already saw somewhere that it's not just 8K, but it's going to be capturing something slightly above 8K and downsampling or downscaling it into 8K. And that way you end up getting very crispy 8K, because you're having much more pixels being squeezed down into an 8K video for you. And in 4K, we are going to be getting up to 120 frames per second, and still with the auto-focusing or auto-tracking system still enabled. Like I said earlier on in the video, guys, most of the cameras that we have out there, you may have autofocusing, but once you choose to go to shoot at certain frame rates or certain resolutions, you begin to lose certain functions like the autofocus in the camera. But with this, in every mode, whether 8K, whether 4K, or whatever, or 5 whatever K, or whatever K that, or whatever resolution that you are capturing, guys, you have access to your autofocusing system regardless. I mean, I'm super blown away by what these engineers are doing, guys. And of course, it's rocking one of the very favorite picture profiles right now in the market, which is Sony's own very famous S-Cinetone for cinematic look. And what this does is to help people who don't really know much about color grading to be able to capture and have authentic skin tones. And I made a video the last time and I was saying, I felt like that was Sony's answer to the native color profiles that come out of the Canon cameras. Because you and I, if you're serious about color grading, knows that Canon cameras have this kind of sweet color science that the images look so nice right out of camera. And I actually thought that this is Sony's way of answering their critics when they talk about the fact that they still think, or they think Canon cameras are shipped with better color science, which does justice to the human skin or skin tones better than Sony cameras. And we have that same feature in this particular camera. Amazing. And guys, we are going to be having 10-bit 422 chroma subsampling, which supports flexible editing. And as you can see, they have S-Log3, and this is how it looks like, and after grading, this is how it also looks like on this part of the screen. I mean, it's cool. And guys, HDR alone is a form of 10-bit. I always say that HDR for me is a form of 10-bit, because if you can capture different sides which has different exposures and still have it looking nice, for me, it always seems like a 10-bit image for me, or 10-bit footage. But in this, we are going to be having an HDR image or HDR recording. And within the HDR, this HDR recorded video is going to be in 10-bit, or you have the capacity to capture in 10-bit. And the 10-bit is going to be HDR. So imagine having, it looks like, this is like 20-bit for me, because having HDR and having 10-bit again within the HDR, guys, that is crazy. I mean, pretty much very amazing that these guys are actually doing this. Amazing. Wow. Come on. Another major point, we are here, guys, another major point. active mode optical image stabilization for stable handheld shooting. And I know, again, stabilization systems like this are not entirely new, but of course, it's actually improved in this and it's actually going to be better. As you can see, just look at here, this is without it and this is with it enabled. So what happens is that once you are holding the camera, it tries to cancel out all the shakes within it. And the nice thing is this camera is going to have other accessories like this shoe that has just been mounted on it. And it's also going to have an effective heat dissipation for extended recording times. Guys, we are there, or we've got into that controversial aspect of my camera reviews as always. Overheating. And what does Sony say? They're saying it has effective heat dissipation for extended recording. Now, the technicalities in this, guys, is that Sony hasn't categorically, or Sony is by no means telling you that this camera isn't going to overheat, it will never overheat, or it does not or doesn't overheat. Rather, look at how they beautifully crafted the message. Effective heat dissipation for extended recording. What does this mean, guys? It means that the cameras or this camera is going to overheat. And I'm suspecting it's going to happen after 30 minutes because looking at the fact that they've tried to tell us that it's going to have effective heat dissipation, it's going to be effective, but we are talking about 8K, guys. If you're going to be recording in 8K, that is no joke. And if you're going to be recording in even 4K and you're going to be doing, let's say, 10-bit 422, that again is still no joke. So I know this is actually going to be like one of the reasons why you shouldn't get this camera, because if you've been following this channel for some time now, guys, you know that I'm someone who doesn't really like overheating, because imagine you get to the field and you have to capture this beautiful shot and your camera gives up on you and you have to sit down and wait for it to cool down, guys. Come on, it's not something cool. And for me, this could be the only reason why, even if I had the money to, or if I had the financial muscle to, I would not opt for this camera in any way. Because the sad reality for filmmakers like me who live in Africa is that already our weather condition is hot. And so to get this kind of camera already in the field, it's just a recipe for disaster, especially if you want to capture in 8K or, pushing the limits of this camera to very high recording limits. I mean, I don't know. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I mean, and guys, if you just saw how the screen kind of came out and went in, it means that we don't have a flip out LCD in this camera. Again, that could be a bummer for you, especially if you're a YouTuber. I know most of you want to be able to twist your LCD so that you can see yourself, just so that you can talk to your camera. Or let's say if you're a vlogger out there, most of you want to have that option. But I know certain professionals who prefer to have this kind of screens to those fully articulating twisting screens or whatever that you call it. I mean, I know some professionals actually prefer to have this than that. So it could be a bummer, but at the same time, it could also be a good thing for some people, depending on your preference. It just depends. And again, they are just highlighting the fact of the stabilization system within this particular site. And guys, we are going to be able to be plugging in an HDMI into this camera, which is going to be outputting 16-bit raw video. How cool is that? 16-bit raw, guys. How cool is this? I mean, it's crazy. And Sony's track record with this kind of cameras, it's not that usually annoying and easy to break micro or mini HDMI. We have a fully fledged working HDMI in this. And always I say kudos to Sony for always having this kind of things in their camera. And this is where things get new and things get exciting. This camera actually supports high data transfer from your camera to your phone, and is going to be doing this in 10 gigabytes per second. Take a moment and let that sink in, guys. And they're going to be using a USB 3.2 Type-C connector. So if you have a phone that has Type-C connection, you can simply connect it to that camera and connect it to your phone, and you can simply copy footage or share files between the camera and your mobile phone. So this can be done on the go. And again, you have an Ethernet port for fast communication. And this is going to come in handy for those of you who do live streaming or people who work for the TV industry who actually want to get news out there as quickly as possible. So if you've been paying attention for this long, you would realize that this camera seems to be geared towards all form of users, because they are trying to capture TV people, they are capturing filmmakers, they are trying to capture YouTubers. I mean, it's almost like an all-round camera, and it's well thought over. And again, it has built-in Wi-Fi, and this makes this camera a very suitable camera for live streaming, and especially if you take it outside to outdoors or wherever that you actually want to shoot, this camera is actually going to shine when it comes to live streaming, especially from the bush or especially from outside. Again, they are just still talking about the same prowess of being able to share files. And this is a visual representation of what we were talking about earlier, the phone being connected via USB. And again, in terms of the memory cards, I'm not really surprised. It's actually building upon the previous successes chalked recently by Sony in terms of the way they build their cameras. And I spoke about how likely Sony is going to stick to this trajectory. From now onwards, all their cameras are going to use this kind of formats. Not entirely all their cameras, but their mirrorless cameras that they are going to produce are going to be in this kind of format where you can use two different type of cards in the same slot, or you can slot in different type of cards in the same hole on the camera, if I'm right to put it that way. So that is basically what this seeks to suggest. And you can use type A and another same type, normal micro SD, and you can have all of these things within the camera, and they are all going to be recorded. Again, nothing totally new, nothing totally special about the body. As usual, Sony doesn't disappoint when it comes to this. And of course, the material chosen for the body, they've taken into consideration the heat dissipation and all that. And again, they are talking about the mechanic shutter here. And we are going to be having a battery pack. And so for those of you who want to do filmmaking or want to take this camera somewhere, you are safe, because you can actually buy this kind of a battery grip, which is going to serve almost like a battery pack, and you can virtually carry it anywhere you go, and it will serve you more in terms of power. Improved dust and moisture resistance. This can come in handy for someone like me who goes to the hinterlands, because I'm always within dusty areas. And if you're also living in a country or somewhere where there is plenty snow or rain, this could also be another very good feature for you, because you are rest assured that your camera might not just break down after just one drop or something. And of course, it has a lot of customizable functions. And again, this is not entirely new. We've seen a lot of this in previous Sony Alpha cameras. This is not entirely new. And of course, this is going to be rocking the new Sony menu that was introduced recently in their previous cameras. And we have other new codecs within this camera. As you can see, we have X fine, we have fine, we have standard, and we also have light. And they are saying that Sony is telling us here that you can also have lossless compressed raw light JPEG files. So I'm sure this is going to be like in between a typical raw file and a JPEG file. However, this is going to be better than just capturing in JPEG, but that is also going to allow you to be able to capture much more files onto your card, because the files are obviously going to be smaller than capturing in traditional RAW, which will be larger than this. So you can actually have a table like the traditional RAW on top, and this would actually follow before you have JPEG following closely. Amazing, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Is this camera something that you'll be getting or you think of getting? Now, and guys, just at the time of making this video, let me quickly pull out this and you see the price. Yes. So this is saying, as you would expect, the Alpha 1 doesn't exactly come with an entry-level price tag. It will cost a whooping $6,500, or that is going to be 6,500 euros, which is going to be around 11,520 Australian dollars. So straight up, this camera is not meant for beginners, and the heavy price tag, I know, is going to be scaring most people away, and because let's be realistic, most people can't afford this. And again, let's just be realistic. Sony just released a lot of new cameras. So even if you are a Sony fanboy, you would have already spent all your money on the previous products that had come out. Guys, I don't know, I have a lot of mixed feelings about this camera, especially the timing of the release. Other than that, this camera was nearly going to be the perfect camera, nearly, but it's not there yet, especially because of the overheating. But nevertheless, this camera is really a very good one. And if you do have the money, I do advise that you invest in that. Of course, we are just a small channel based here on the continent of Africa, specifically in Ghana. We will not obviously be able to afford this camera, so I'm not sure there will be any review of this camera coming up soon on this channel. But if you do order this camera or have it in hand, please kindly do share your thoughts so that we, those in this African maze community, can get to learn from the experiences that you've gathered from this new camera. And if you've made it this far into the video, I'll much appreciate it if you do click on the subscribe button and hit on the notification icon so that you get notified anytime we drop awesome content like this on this channel. And guys, please do me a favor by clicking on the like button, because it goes a long way in helping other people discover our content here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and before we go, as always, let's get some coconut water. Refreshing one. Here on the continent of Africa, we have abundance of coconut. So next time you are here in Africa, try and grab some coconut, because I can go a day without taking coconut, and that is my energizing liquid. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will catch you in the next video. Until next time, as always, keep practicing filmmaking. Peace out. I need to get rid of the umbrella.